Hi guys, today we are going to be talking about the real number system. Welcome to the PowerPoint. There are some words that you need to know when you are talking about the real number system. The first word is the word set, S-E-T. A set is a group of items that are similar or the same in some way. For example, A, B, C, D, and E are similar because they are all letters. 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 are similar because they are all odd numbers. Another vocabulary word that you need is the word subset. A main set can be divided into smaller groups called subsets. The numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are in a set of numbers. This main set can be split into two subsets. 1, 3, 5, and 7 is a piece of the main set or a subset of odd numbers. 2, 4, and 6 is a subset of the main set that holds only even numbers. When you want to write down or show the members of a set, you use a special kind of parentheses called a bracket. Brackets look like these. You will also need to know the word sort. When you sort something, you put things that are similar together into a set. Look at the list below. 1, 3, A, 5, B, C, 7, D, 9, and E. 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 is a set of odd numbers. And A, B, C, D, and E is a set of letters in the alphabet. We have sorted the numbers from the letters. We have actually created two subsets. In order to sort numbers, we first have to look at the different kinds of numbers that we have. The first kind of number that I want you to think about is a fraction. A fraction is a part of something. It's a part of a whole. Fractions are written as a numerator over a denominator. It will always look like one number written on top of another number, like the ones below. These are fractions. The next kind of number that you need to think about is called a decimal. A decimal is like a fraction. It also represents part of a whole. A decimal is always written with a decimal point followed by some digits. Look at the decimals below. There are three kinds of decimals that you need to think about and be able to recognize. The first is the easiest one. It is called a terminating decimal. 3.56 is a terminating decimal because it has an exact end. It is 3.56 and nothing more than that. The second kind of a decimal is a repeating decimal. Look at 3.66 or 3.71111. That line over the 6 means that that 6 repeats forever. The decimal could be 3.6666666 and so on. Or the next one could be 3.711111111 and on forever. These are called repeating decimals. This becomes important a little bit later on. The third kind of decimal is called a non-terminating decimal. This kind of decimal does not end and does not have a repeating pattern. It just goes on forever with no particular sequence to the numbers. The decimal 3.2153576 and so on is a non-terminating decimal. This kind of decimal is in a category by itself. Another kind of number that we use is called a negative number. These are numbers that are less than 0. We use them to talk about temperature. When it's very cold, it might be negative 10 degrees outside. We use them to talk about money. If you owe someone $10, then you have negative $10. Remember, negative numbers are less than 0. They are written with a minus sign, like the numbers below. -8, -25, -1,293. These are negative numbers. The number 0 is another special digit. 0 is neutral. It has no value. It is just a placeholder. 0 is important to remember because it is not negative and it is not positive. It has no value at all. When you first started learning to count, you were using positive numbers. Positive numbers are all of those numbers greater than 0. If you were looking on a number line, they would be all of the numbers to the right of 0. Positive numbers are the numbers that you see most often. Remember, we're talking about the real number system in this PowerPoint. So to review or summarize the kinds of numbers that you will be sorting, and there's that vocabulary word again, the numbers are fractions, decimals, negative numbers, 0, and positive numbers. These are the numbers that you are going to be sorting or putting into categories in the real number system. Okay, so how do we sort numbers? Well, to begin with, it's called the real number system. All numbers are real numbers. Fractions, decimals, negative numbers, 0, positive numbers, they are all real numbers in the real number system. The next subset or subcategory in the real number system is called rational numbers. Rational numbers include fractions. It includes terminating and repeating decimals. Remember I said there were 3 kinds of decimals. Terminating and repeating decimals are rational numbers, but non-terminating decimals are not rational numbers. They are real, but not rational. Rational numbers also include positive numbers, negative numbers, and 0. The next category of real numbers to look at is called integers. Integers include all negative and positive numbers. They include 0, but no fractions or decimals. Integers are negative numbers, -3, -11, and so on, 0, and all positive numbers, 3, 7, 11, and so on. But remember, if it is a fraction or a decimal, it cannot be called an integer. Another kind of real number is called a whole number. Look at that word whole, W-H-O-L-E. Whole numbers include all of the positive numbers, those numbers greater than 0, and 0. 0 is also a whole number, but no fractions, no decimals, and no negative numbers. If it is a fraction, a decimal, or a negative number, it cannot be included in the subset of whole numbers. 0 and all of the positive numbers are whole numbers. Natural numbers are also part of the real number system. Natural numbers include all positive numbers, but not 0. Now you have a subset of real numbers that only includes the positive numbers. No 0, no fractions, no decimals, no negative numbers. Positive numbers only. Numbers that are greater than 0 are called natural numbers. The last kind of real number that we need to consider is called an irrational number. Irrational numbers show an amount that we cannot count or measure exactly. We can never be 100% accurate when trying to count or measure an irrational number. Irrational numbers include the symbol used in geometry for pi. They include non-terminating decimals, and they include imperfect squares. The interesting thing about irrational numbers is that when we convert pi to a decimal, it is a non-terminating decimal. When we try to find the square root of an imperfect square, such as the square root of 3 or the square root of 8, the answer will be a non-terminating decimal. So I guess you could say that all irrational numbers are actually non-terminating decimals. Let's look at this another way. This chart is called a semantic map. If we look at it, we have real numbers, rational numbers, integers, whole numbers, natural numbers, and irrational numbers on the left-hand side of the chart. Across the top, we have fractions, decimals, negative numbers, 0, and positive numbers. You can use a semantic map like this to show the categories that different numbers fall into. For example, fractions, decimals, negative numbers, 0, and positive numbers are all real numbers. Rational numbers are fractions, decimals, negative numbers, 0, and positive numbers. Integers are negative numbers, 0, and positive numbers. Whole numbers include 0 and positive numbers, and natural numbers only include positive numbers. Irrational numbers include all imperfect squares and non-terminating decimals. You can see how each subset of the set of real numbers becomes smaller with each change in the category. And that, my friends, is the real number system. I know that this is a lot of information and a lot of technical vocabulary for you to take in, but if you study it, you can figure this out. I have full confidence in you.